Hey, I'm Laura from TastyPC.tv, and in this video I'm going to be doing something that I've wanted to do since I started TastyPC, which is like a room tour. Now originally this video was 2 hours long and included a look around the filming studio section that I'm in now, and also the look around the conservatory where I keep most of my hardware and components. But I completely massacred it, managed to get it down to about 45 minutes, but decided that was probably still too long, so I've now decided to split the video into two parts. In this part here, I would just take a look around the filming studio section, so just, the filming equipment I use and just this general area here, which includes a lot of random stuff that isn't TastyPC related at all, but I've covered it all anyway. And then part two, it covers everything in the conservatory. So yeah, so for those of you who don't know, I should say that I don't have like a professional filming studio or anything like that. I do just film in like the family's lounge. Now originally I actually filmed like directly in the centre of a lounge. Like a TV was there, the sofa was there, and I literally filmed in the middle of a TV and a sofa, which was a complete nightmare. And since then there's been like a big rearrange, and I've now actually got like a cordoned off section to use as a filming studio, which is really great, and it's helped a lot. Because obviously before, because the lounge is like the busiest room of the house, so before, when I was in between the TV and the sofa, it meant that I could use the lounge for such a limited amount of time, and like each day when I wanted to film, I'd have to set up the filming equipment and then pack it away again once I was done. So I literally had like no time at all to film and make any videos, and obviously now that's changed, and it means that I can permanently have my filming equipment out, which is really great. I am still limited to how much I can film though due to noise, because I do live with 5 other people and only 2 of them actually go out to work, the rest just study and work from home. So we all get on each other's nerves, and it's just so loud here, like all the time. And some people don't go to bed until like 2 or 3 in the morning. Like sometimes they're cooking at 4 AM and it's like, go to bed so I can film. And then the people who do go out to work get up at like 6 AM and start getting ready then. So I get maybe 2 hours a day that I can film, if that, and that's only normally on weekdays. On weekends it's just, they stay up all night, it's a nightmare. So yeah, so what I'd really love to do is just eventually either move like the whole thing to like an actual filming studio, or get my own place, because then what I could do is convert the lounge into like a proper filming studio, because if you've got a PC in your room, why do you need a lounge? But yeah, so because this place here, like I can't build like a temporary wall or put up like noise dampening like foam or anything like that, because it's not my place, which sucks. But yeah, having this cordoned off area really does help from allowing me to do things like film beauty shots and overlays and stuff that doesn't require audio, when normally I just wouldn't have the lounge at all. So it's a step in the right direction, but it's still not quite where I want to be with my filming setup yet. But yeah, so let's get started. So firstly, what I'm going to do is stay in this section here in the filming studio, and then once we looked around this room, I'll go through the curtains and into the conservatory. But firstly, with my filming setup, now usually when I film it's on a Canon 550D, or also known as a Rebel T2i, and at the moment on it I've got a Samyang 35mm t1.5 cine lens, but I do also own a Canon 50mm f1.8 lens and also a kit lens. At the moment I've got my camera set on a Felbon DV7000 tripod, which is a really good tripod. I'm actually really happy with it, although you might notice this wrapped around the cable, and that's because sometimes my bunny rabbit Carla comes into the lounge, and any cable that can't be unplugged needs to be protected, because she just has such a thing for cables. One year on Christmas Day, she actually Splinter Cell styled it in to the room and nibbled through the BT Infinity internet and phone lines, which I wasn't really bothered about either way, because I also have a Virgin Media line, which is my main line, and the BT Infinity is my backup line, but it meant the rest of the family had to spend Christmas Day together rather than getting to spend it online. But yeah, then also randomly, like a week ago, we had a lightning storm, during which my modem went poof for my Virgin Media line, so evidently, something must have surged, but it does mean for the time being I'm on the BT Infinity line, which kind of sucks. But yeah, so with the camera setup, this is how it is at the moment, but eventually I'd really love like a proper camera rig with a follow focus and like a Nexus 7 to use as a monitor, so I can properly see, or more clearly see what it is the camera can see, and also a motorised dolly and all sorts. But I have to save up for quite a bit before I can afford that. But for the time being, I am happy with this setup. Then in terms of lighting, I'm currently using two Interfit Super Cool Light 6 studio lights, each of which can fit 6 bulbs. However, this one could only fit 5 bulbs because it's just broke. But yeah, also the stand that this one's on is really terrible and it refuses to go higher than this. Like, if you try and set it high, it will just slowly slide back down to this height. It's very annoying. But this stand over here is much better, so that's a good one. But yeah, you might notice that the softbox look a little bit weird, a little bit squished, but it's just, they're quite difficult to get on by yourself, so they're not quite fitted right. But yeah, so it still works. Yeah, so then with audio, at the moment I'm filming on a Zoom H6 recorder and using the XY mic, and since I started using this I have had a lot less complaints about audio, but I do still also have a Rode lavalier and also a Rode shotgun mic. At the moment I should have mentioned that I am filming this on a Canon PowerShot GX7 camera. But yeah, so also with the filming setup, I'm filming on this shelf here, which as you can see is very sturdy. But I use this grey cloth, which I've used for quite a while now. Like, I stinged it off of a coffee table at some point, and it's never looked that great to begin with. But I'm hoping to replace it soon. I picked up this carbon fibre wrap, which I've just got to find something to stick it to. But once I've done that, hopefully it'll make things look a lot better. But I am thinking of also replacing the shelf, because at the moment when I film kind of like face sections or, you know, bits where I'm in front of the camera where you can see me, I need to kind of pile boxes on top of it to get the product high enough for you to be able to see it. And it is just so unstable that having like a really expensive product sat on top of a load of boxes is just really scary. So I need to do something about that. And then the other thing that I need to sort out is just the dreadful curtains. I mean, like, my favourite colour is red, and I've always been up for the idea of having red curtains, but just not these ones. It's not while trying to film a product. It sucks. They like put an orangey, like reddy, yellowy kind of just glow on everything that goes in front of them. And the problem is that it actually makes it look like my white balance is off, and I do get a lot of people saying that I need to sort out my white balance, but I do have the camera set up to the temperature of my light bulbs. It's just that, you know, in real life, anything that goes in front of it you can see has like an orangey or yellowy tinge, so of course that's going to be picked up on camera, which is why whenever I can I always try and film with the curtains open, because then it looks like the colour balance or white balance has been set up correctly. Which is another thing, that when I film I also get sometimes complaints saying that I need to use more light and sometimes saying that I need to use less light. Basically when I'm filming looks around like products, I want it to try and kind of look cinematic. So for that I go for kind of like a darker look, where even though I'm using often, you know, like all 11 studio lights, or studio bulbs I should say, obviously I just kind of play with it to make it, to try and create like a darker, you know, more cinematic look. Whereas other times I will on purposely overexpose, usually while filming black product, because usually if it's too dark then it just looks like a black product and you can't see any of the detail. But the problem is obviously if overexposing is then it no longer looks black, it looks like a kind of just a grey colour, but it allows you to properly see the detail. So there are times where I go both ways. So when people say that I'm like not correctly setting up the white balance, not correctly, you know, setting up the lighting, that's not the case. I am setting up how I want it to look. It's just that it's maybe not how the viewer wants it to look, but I'm open to, you know, constructive criticism. I always want to, you know, improve the visual quality of my videos. But yeah, so with the curtains, they are horrible and I really want to change them, but the problem is that they match the curtains the other side of the lounge, and also they're very expensive, so I've been told I can't take them down. But at the moment the divider that I've got in between kind of the filming studio and the lounge side of the lounge is just, as you can see, it's just kind of backdrops, where as what the family want is they want one of those really expensive kind of wooden ones, like a wooden divider, but they want me to buy it, and they're like £300. I'm like, I'm happy with it like this, you know, I think it looks fine. But if I can convince them to allow me to keep this, you know, the divider like this, then from the lounge you can't see these curtains, so I could sneakily change them to better curtains. But if I end up having to use like one of those little dividers which is only like up to shoulder height, then I unfortunately will have to keep these curtains, in which case what I'll probably do is just turn my whole filming setup around and then film against that wall there. And I'll probably end up painting this wall kind of a grey colour, because I don't want it to be, you know, bright white and just kind of glare everything out, but I also don't want it to be too dark or, you know, too colourful either. So I think like a nice neutral grey will probably do a good job. But yeah, so before we move into the conservatory, I will just kind of go around the perimeter of this room, although I don't really know how much detail to go into with some things, given that some of the stuff in here really isn't all that TastyPC related, and I do keep most of the components and hardware that I have in the conservatory, but I'll just go around everything anyway. So firstly with the fireplace, we've got 2 pop vinyls. I've got Cersei from Game of Thrones and also Princess Leia from Star Wars. And I got these at this year's summer LFCC when they announced that Stanley was going to be going, and also said that they were going to be doing a limited edition Stanley pop vinyl. So I thought what would be cool is if, rather than getting them to like sign pictures of themselves or pictures of their character, I would see if they had a pop vinyl of a character that they played that I liked and have them sign that instead. So as you can see, I've got this one actually signed by Lena Headey, and then I bought this one because Carrie Fisher was also there and I wanted her to sign it, but she wanted £60 for an autograph and that was just a bit above my budget. And then in the end I wasn't able to get the Stanley limited edition pop vinyl, so instead I just got him to sign a photo. So I kind of wish that I just got her to sign a photo instead, but yeah, so I did just get back from the winter LFCC like about a week ago now, which was cool. I got to meet 2 more of the cast from Battlestar Galactica. Now usually these would be kept in my bedroom with kind of like the other collectibles that I've got and just, you know, like figures from games and things like that, but I've just completely run out of space and it's starting to spill into the lounge, so I really need to tidy back up and get them back into my bedroom. But yeah, so these are just here for now. I then also got a Tribble from Star Trek, which I got with a loot crate because I thought that I'd give it a try, and I have to say, apart from this and some really nice Firefly money that came with it, it was kind of naff, so I'm not going to be getting loot crates anymore. So next we got some ships from Attack Wing, and I've got the 3 that came with the starter kit, but also the Equinox, because it was just really cute, so I couldn't resist. But what I really want is like a full Borg fleet, so I can just go around assimilating everyone. One thing that I really want though is the DS9, and they actually said recently that you're going to be able to buy it soon, because before you could only ever win it as a prize for, you know, winning one of the tournaments. So that would be cool, but I think it's going to be like £200, so I have to save up quite a long time before I can afford that. Then here we've got this little toy caterpillar, which I got from when I met Hodgins at LFCC. Basically, he was giving out kind of like goodie bags to everyone he met that had like a little toy bug in it, and I chose the caterpillar because it's really cute. Also like elastic band because he's always pinging them in the show. Also like a behind the scenes photo from the show, and also like a little business card from his character, which was pretty cool. He was really cool to meet. And then we've got Flareon, which you've probably seen dotted around in quite a lot of videos. Just a load around nail varnish because I always do my nails for videos. And then also some non-toxic glow-in-the-dark dye, because I thought it'd be interesting to see if I fed it to a plant, if it would glow in the dark, and then I'd be able to like DIY myself a Nurna root. But yeah, so then down here I've got a Tanto, which is a very long Tanto, like it is the longest that you can get away with without it being Wakizashi. I on purposely went for as long as I could get away with. Basically, I just love like live blade carbon steel swords, and I've got a small armoury that I'm collecting in my bedroom. Thinking, you know, cases like Zombie Day and stuff like that, you've got to be prepared. But I keep this one out here because sometimes at night it's just so sketchy out here, like it's really freaky. And I know that you can't exactly like hurt a ghost with a sword, but it makes me feel better, like, out here. So yeah. So then here I've got 2 780Ts. I've got a yellow one and a white one. The white one is on the filming shelf, as you saw before, because I'm currently in the middle of filming that. I'm near the section where I fit different radiators to see which ones will fit or what configurations you can go with. And then up here we've randomly got some coloured pencils. Basically when I bought the Samyang lens, I also bought a filter with it, but rather than a filter, I got some coloured pencils instead. And even though Amazon said that they would refund them for me, even though I didn't buy them directly from Amazon, I just bought them from a random seller, I just seem to have this inability to be able to return things. So like I've lost so much money over the years of just not returning things that didn't fit or that were broke. It's just something that I seem to be incapable of doing. But yeah, so I've got these now, and I suppose need to take up drawing. But yeah, so then here I've got an aqua tuning backdrop. Basically a few years ago they asked if I wanted to do an intro to a TF2 competition at iSeries, and they sent me the backdrop to film it in front of, which was kind of cool. But yeah, so I'm just holding on to this until they want it back because they haven't asked for it back yet. And then down here we've got a screw container with a box around it for added structural integrity. And we've also got a load of screwdrivers. These are only about a quarter of the screwdrivers that I own, but I just keep losing them. I have no idea what I do with them. So I've got it laid out in the hope that I will note it, or like I'm more likely to put them back in the pile rather than just leave them in random places, but they all kind of need replacing anyway, except for this one. This one's my favourite because it looks juicy. But yeah, so back on the filming shelf we have the white 780T, as I said before. We've also just got around a microfiber cloth and a makeup brush because they are great for cleaning, like fans and cases and things like that, for photos, and they only cost about £1, which is great, so you just pick up a couple of them. Then here we've got a quirky switch tester with 9 of the most popular Cherry MX switches. For some time now I've been planning on doing like a Cherry MX switch guide to go alongside my mechanical keyboard reviews that I do that use Cherry MX switches, so I thought this would be perfect for that, and I'll start filming that soon. Then here we've got a shelf which on it I've got products that I'm yet to film, but also things that I haven't quite got around to moving into the Conservatory yet, because there are actually some things in the Conservatory which I'm still kind of in the middle of making videos on. But here I've got two 970s from the 970 SLI video that I just did. I've also got a 980 because I'm in the middle of working on a review of the 980 and the 970. I've got a card down here to use as a comparison in the review. I've also got a 780 Ti to use as comparison in the review. I did actually film like nearly an entire overview of this card like months and months ago now, but I just thought it was kind of naff, so I never ended up uploading it. But that's just something that I seem to do a lot when I will film, you know, like I spend like a week filming nearly an entire video and at the end just feel like I can do better, so I just end up never uploading it. But yeah, it's the same thing happened with the K70 Rgb Mechanical Keyboard here. I filmed pretty much the entire review, but just felt like I can do much better, so I've scrapped that and I'm going to start filming it again from scratch. But the first time that I filmed it, I thought what would be really cool is if I did like rainbow nails to match the RGB lighting, and after putting on like a white base coat I saw this thing where you're supposed to use a sponge to apply it, but rather than using a makeup sponge I just used one of those washing up sponges that you can get, and it dried so like kind of like airy, if that's the right word to say, that it ended up looking like my nails were like gobstoppers, which while that looked kind of cool in person it just looked horrendous on camera, so that's just not something to try again. But yeah, so there's that, and also some more Corsair gaming peripherals which I'm going to be doing a video on, also around page 5 Extreme, and then you know there's a couple more things in the Conservatory too. So you might have noticed a lot of this stuff is Asus and Corsair, but that's got nothing to do with the fact that they're my channel sponsors, because for the sponsorship all it is really is pre-rolls at the beginning of each video and branding on the channel banner, like that's it. The reason why most of this stuff is Asus and Corsair is that basically each month I only get a chance to make 2 or 3 videos, so I try and choose the most exciting things that I can get into a review. So you know, here I've got some brand new video cards, I've got a really sexy X99 motherboard, and then I've got one of the 3 only Cherry MX Rgb mechanical keyboards that you can get at the moment, which is, you know, I think these are really exciting things, and the fact that they were made by Asus and Corsair is kind of irrelevant. If they've been made, for example, by MSI or Gigabyte with the cards and the motherboard, and you know the keyboard has, for example, been manufactured by Cooler Master instead, I'd still be reviewing them if I got offered them to review. And then down here we've got a same passive gaming rig that was the focus of my most recent video. I don't really know what the plan is for it though at the moment, because one of the reasons why I built a same passive rig was so that I could have my entire kind of PC desk setup in the lounge rather than where it is at the moment in the bedroom. But if I do bring the setup into the lounge, then I'll have less space in here, so I don't really know, you know, what I'm planning on doing with it at the moment, which is why it's sat down here. And then next to that I've got 2 Asus motherboard stands, which I plan to use in kind of all my motherboard reviews. I actually used them in my most recent MSI motherboard review. It was the Gaming 7 motherboard, and because it says Asus on it and I didn't want it to say kind of, you know, like Asus in big during kind of the intro and conclusion, I actually ended up just sticking like a bit of cardboard in front of the Asus logo down here, and then there's like an MSI sticker in front, which I don't actually think anyone noticed, but I'm sure they will now that I've pointed it out. So then here we've got a box for an Asus PB287Q, which is actually the first 4K monitor that I've had the pleasure of using, and it's currently in the bedroom plugged into the test bench for the graphics card review, because I'm only borrowing it for that, and then once that's done I have to send it back. But I'm supposed to be getting an IPS 4K monitor at some point, which will be pretty sweet. I have been considering making a video talking about kind of my thoughts on 4K, but I don't know if I will do that. But as I said in my 970 SLI video, I do think that 2560 by 1440 is really kind of where it's at the moment, and I do think that you'd be probably better off getting a really nice like G-Sync 1440 monitor over 4K in a lot of cases. And then next to that we've got a wardrobe that normally wouldn't be in a filming studio, but basically my clothes have been in the hallway for quite a long time now, and the deal is that when I got kind of this half of the lounge, I would have to bring my clothes in here. Normally I would have this closed, but the hangers are actually stick out past the entrance, so I have to have it open at the moment. But yeah, so firstly I've got some shirts from Tech Syndicate, as Logan said some over. It's really nice. I've got 2 with the logo on it, one with WASD and an NSA one, and these are really nice. Then just some random ones down here. Down here I've got some from manufacturers, some from Corsair, the NMAX ones that I wore in the Christmas competition I did. I've also got a Roccat and Aqua Tuning one here, but both of them are just way too big, so I haven't been able to wear them. Then up here I've actually got the start to a Sucker Punch baby doll cosplay outfit. I bought this main bit from the cosplay house, but there's so many problems with it that I would send it back if I could, but because I had it like tailor-made to my measurements, I'm not able to send it back. But there are a lot of issues, like they completely put the wrong buttons on and some of the buttonholes are just too small for the buttons to go through, and just, you know, things like that. I then got a Colt 1911, or Sucker Punched Up, which I bought from a shop on Etsy. I believe it's called The Bird and the Bee. I'm not able to pull the trigger though, because then it will just like scratch up on the paintwork. I've then also got a plastic katana for the whole cosplay outfit, but having just like a plastic sword like this is just... it hurts my soul, but I can't really be walking around London with a live blade, so yeah. And it was only 20 quid, so thought I'd just pick it up. And then in here I've got a G-Skill shirt, which I wore at the Christmas competition. I've got an Attack on Titan jacket, which I got from LFCC. I've got a Fnatic hoodie, which they sent me recently, that's really soft and I really love it, it's nice. I then also got just a round dress, which this is actually the only item of clothing that I've ever spent like more than £50 on that wasn't a cosplay outfit, because, you know, obviously that doesn't count and cosplay is very expensive, as I found out. And then I've got a couple of Corsair outfits, and then back here I've got the 2 outfits that I kind of wore for most of the Christmas competition. So yeah. Poking out from the top, you can see the ears that I wore in my review of the 380T. Some people ask where I got these from. I actually made them myself. They're not the greatest, but yeah, they did the job. And then way down here, I've got the NAF loot crate, and below that, new pair of shoes that I bought. I do actually own a lot more shoes than this, so I've got to find them though first before I can stick them under the wardrobe. But I also own a lot of keyboards, so it's kind of like, you know, keyboard science, the science of keyboards. But yeah, so next stop, the Conservatory.